This right here is much thicker. Everything is just bigger. The slowest rear hatch opening sequence on the 200 series. Hope you got a minute. What do you think? Which one do you like better? The white one or the gray one?
White.
The white one? Good pick. He's a wise kid right there. He's going places. Hey YouTube, Untamed here. In today's video, I want to do a side-by-side look at my 2021 Toyota Land Cruiser Heritage Edition right next to my 2024 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. Both of these vehicles are extremely special to me, for obvious reasons if you follow the channel. But if you don't know, this was the last year that they offered the V8 Toyota Land Cruiser, with the 200 series being offered within the US anyway. Limited to 1,200 units, it's a pretty rare bird. And given the fact that it only had 4,300 plus miles on it, when I bought it just recently, it was extremely rare. Right behind me over here is my 24 4Runner TRD Pro. I bought it with 634 miles on it just recently. The price tags between the two of them really does beg the question, is the Land Cruiser truly worth almost double the Toyota 4Runner? I'll leave that to you to decide. Stick with me as we talk through it all. Right around 56,000 and some change, okay? Back in 2024, the Heritage Edition, on the other hand, was right around $92,000 MSRP. You guys know current values of them, if you're going to get a very low mile example anyway, let me be clear, very low mile example here in end of 2025, I spent $61,000 on this with 634 miles. The Heritage Edition, on the other hand, you believe it or not, 5 years later, it's already a 5-year-old vehicle, I spent $95,400 on it. After taxes, it brought it up to about 101, and then I guess after taxes on the 4Runner were about 65,000. So current value though, I mean, if I actually sold this right now with very low miles, I put 1,000 miles on it, driving it back from Washington to Wyoming here, is about 5,500 miles on it. If you look at Bring a Trailer, similar, perfect examples with perfect histories, no accidents, of course, one owner, perfect examples like this have gone for 120,000, 125,000. I just saw another example just recently, over $134,000 on Bring a Trailer with a little bit more miles than this, 7,700 miles, I believe, if I recall correctly. Different color though. So this truly is $120,000 plus right now with the current miles. The more you drive it, of course, that value will go down. For the 4Runner, of course, the value is going to go down. I mean, I paid a premium for it because it did have very low miles on it. But moving forward, this here, with more miles you put on, of course, the value is going to go down. But even if you put 15 to 30,000 miles on it, it's in the mid $50,000 range for this one here. Now, when it comes to the interiors, you begin to feel just how premium the Land Cruiser is by comparison to the 4Runner. The 4Runner has a ton of really hard plastics in it, right? Even the seats, by comparison, the Land Cruiser is so much more comfortable, so much more comfortable. You sit in one of these, you're like, holy cow, this is pretty nice. And well, let me see, I'll hop in here and I'll show you the current miles of it. Anyway, we'll fire it up. Hear that V8 roar to life, but we are, no kidding, just under 5,500 miles in the Heritage Edition. But we have a lot of metal bezels throughout the Land Cruiser here. Very nice to the touch. This is, no kidding, an aluminum metal material here, whereas obviously you're going to get a lot more plastic in the 4Runner by comparison. Even up here, this feels pretty nice. This isn't just your standard hard plastic up here. This feels premium. Everything. This is pretty antiquated, right? This is very old. It's not a very intuitive system, but it's going to continue to work. And I think that's obviously the appeal with the Land Cruiser. Everything here is very simplistic and it is built to last. It's not overly sophisticated like many new vehicles today. Even new generation Toyotas are just overcooked on the interior when it comes to all the creature comforts and the technology. This here, I love the fact that we still have the analog gauges. That's perfect to me. More of the metal bezels over here. Finishes, the kind of brushed aluminum look and feel. But it feels sturdy. The door, right when you open the door of the Land Cruiser right next to the 4Runner, you quickly realize just the difference in heft. The doors over here are so much heavier compared to the 4Runner, so much heavier, and it's just an indicator of just the quality, the build quality, just the heft of it, and the durability of it, really, right? Get your memory seating positions here, all 4 automatic windows up and down. Got some kind of classic looking wood trim finishes all throughout in the Heritage Edition over here. I never have loved that, but I don't know, it's not bad by any means. It feels nice to the touch, especially on the steering wheel up here. As far as the actual steering wheel itself, very minimal buttons, so it's not overdone when it comes to just how many navigation and buttons that you need to try to work through and navigate. I don't love that the climate control is integrated within the actual infotainment here. That's I don't know, that's probably my least favorite part of the integration here. Otherwise, everything is very straightforward and to the point. I do prefer the simplicity of the 4Runner when it comes to the use of controls. Use the climate controls, everything. Fan speed is just kind of hard buttons, and I appreciate that by comparison. So more metal finishes down here for your volume control, your tuning scroll over here, some of your charging ports in here, and your seat cooler and seat heaters down here for both sides, which is nice. And with it being a landcruiser, it is a full-time four-wheel drive, so that's a big difference between the two of them here. Obviously, you do have a transfer case. You can put the 4Runner into four-wheel drive, which is nice. And I do love the fact that it is a manual transfer case for that over there. We'll look at it here in a second. But this, talk about perfect peace of mind. Driving through any kind of winter weather conditions, icy conditions, having nice tires on it. So, assuming you have nice tires on it, you're going to be able to get through any type of weather. And you just feel so planted in the landcruiser here. Let me show you this for fun. Here is the window sticker. So I lied, it's not even $92,000. We're $91,000, hopefully you can see it, $91,264. MSRP before the additions up there is just under $88,000. We have the third row seating, which adds about $1,400 to it. And the special color, the Blizzard Pearl, adds about $425. Built out of Japan, which is awesome, and it really is a testament to the build quality of this vehicle. 14 miles to the gallon, that is no joke with the 5.7 liter V8. Look at that, that's pretty funny here. And well, you're likely spending that kind of coin to run this vehicle all the time. But tell you what, you're not going to have the vehicle in the shop for maintenance or anything like that throughout your ownership. Let me show you the back seats for fun. Looking at the back seats here, equally comfortable. The same Heritage stitching extends all throughout the vehicle, that bronze stitching, unique to the Heritage Edition. Your climate controls out back with more of the wooden little bezel there, surround, but a very comfortable one. That seat's tilted back for some reason, so we need to get them on par. But you do have the seat reclines over here. That will make it fold forward, and then you can obviously flip it all the way up. But you got the third row in this one, which is nice, and very, very few examples of the Heritage Edition came with the third row. In 2020, they introduced the landcruiser Heritage Edition for the first time, 1,200 units as well in 2020, but they did not have an option to spec it with a third row. So me being about that dad life and having 100 kids, seemingly, having that third row is pretty crucial. There's your armrest down here with the little useless cubby tray stuff to slide around in, and hard plastic here, so I can't imagine actually using that for that purpose. But there you have it, the little magazine holders out back behind the seats, and more of the the finishes extend throughout the vehicle. And again, the heft of these doors, so much heavier than the 4Runner. Speaking of heft, the 4Runner weighs about 4,750 pounds. That's the 4Runner's weight. The landcruiser here, just about 1,000 pounds more, 5,715 pounds is what the landcruiser weighs. And when you look at them side by side, they're not terribly far off in size, right? I mean, they look pretty similar, especially when you see pictures of them. But you do begin to see just the landcruiser is a bit wider between the two of them. And it isn't until you start looking underneath. Obviously, the engine is heavier with the V8 here compared to the 4-liter naturally aspirated V6 here. So a heavier engine, and when you look underneath it, you can tell that the frame and just the components, the lower control arms, everything, sway bars, everything is just much more robust on the landcruiser comparatively to the 4Runner. All right, I'll get in the snow here. Let me show you guys. Real quick, we'll look at the wheels, the TRD wheels on the 4Runner, and then we have these forged BBS wheels on the landcruiser. Absolutely love these wheels. The same wheels that came on my 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, but of course, just bronze. Love the look of those. Let's start with the 4Runner. So get an idea of just how thin like that lower control arm is here, right? And then look at the frame itself. Maybe I should have turned off the landcruiser over there. Forgive me if it's a little loud, guys. I just want you to get an idea of what we're working with here, okay? At the suspension, we have TRD tuned Fox suspension here on the 4Runner. Obviously, skid plates down below here. The front skid plate, I'll show you from up front too. Let me turn off the landcruiser real quick. Okay, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Let me show you. Got the skid plate underneath the 4Runner. That's pretty nice. I like that. There's a better look at the suspension. And the sway bars coming from it. Okay. Tie rods. Everything is just, it's nice. And you wouldn't know any better until you start looking underneath that landcruiser. All right, let's go peek under this one here. And tell me if you can spot some of the differences just in how robust everything truly is. Like, look at this lower control arm. By comparison, it is so much thicker, so much more going on here. Suspension, it is far superior. You get the KDSS, Kinetic Dynamic Suspension System, which allows for tremendous flex and wheel articulation. Go over here. It's a little windy, guys. Just look at how wide this frame is. And maybe you can't tell. Forgive me if you can't, but this right here is much thicker. Everything is just bigger. Got an 8-speed transmission under this one, whereas you do have a 5-speed, pretty archaic 5-speed automatic transmission in the 4Runner. But look at that. Everything, even the exhaust, it's just huge under here, right? You can tell cross members, crossbars, everything under here. I mean, you can just tell that Toyota technicians truly did go into building this landcruiser to last 25 plus years with minimal headache. They built it to last. And that, unfortunately, is not the case with many vehicle manufacturers today, right? Many vehicle manufacturers build these vehicles to be throwaway vehicles. They don't want them to last, because if it falls apart in 5-10 years, that means you're trading it in. You're getting a new vehicle, and that's good for business, right? So this here was an anomaly in that regard. Unique to the Heritage Edition, we get this pretty cool classic badge out back. But I just love that side profile of this. That Yakima Mega Warrior roof basket is pretty chintzy for a vehicle of this caliber. I've always kind of thought that, but at the same time, I do believe it finishes the look. It completes it. You tell me. The front end does have darkened headlight housing, unique to the Heritage Edition. Otherwise, it's more chrome in there. Have a darkened chrome around the fog lamps below, and that carries on to the kind of that gunmetal bronze finishes in that grille. Toyota Safety Sense, like adaptive cruise control, that is integrated with the Toyota badge up front. Stuff that you guys have likely already heard, hear plenty on the channel in previous years with my previous Heritage Editions, but just want to kind of recap them right next to each other. Whereas you look at the 4Runner, this looks so cheap by comparison, right? Like this here, I mean, it looks awesome. I love the look of it. It's just like plastic here. Everything's just plastic. This is your Toyota Safety Sense. You got this giant rectangular piece of plastic there. I don't know. You got fake venting right here. It looks good. Of course, a fake hood scoop. This here, you just tell is massively, massively produced, right? Compared to this. Very few of these were ever offered in the US, 1,200. But in general, the 200 series was a very limited production for the North American market. In the United States, they sold anywhere between about 4,000 and 6,000 of these each and every year. So very, very few of them, whereas they sell, 150, I think between 150 and 180,000 of these each year. So these are just massively overproduced by comparison. And don't get me wrong, I mean, look, when you're looking right next to each other, they look pretty similar in size, right? They don't, maybe you can get an idea that the landcruiser is bigger, but there is that 1,000-pound difference between them. You do have, starting in 2019, the 4Runner started having this roof rack on it, which I think added to the look tremendously. Get that TRD Pro badge out back. Let me show you what the inside is looking like on the 4Runner. We do have this, they refer to it as soft text material for the seats, which ages very well. Let me get in here. It ages extremely well. You go look at any like 2015 Toyota 4Runner. It's been out on the road for 10 years. It has maybe 200,000 miles on it. And look at the seats. Normally at the entry point, right here on the driver's side or passenger side, that's where it normally gets beat up. But the soft text material takes a beating exceptionally well, and it ages very well. So, big fan of this. I think Toyota definitely had some pretty good foresight in mind when they were putting this together, knowing that it was going to age very well. It was never cutting edge. I think even when they first came out in 2015 for this generation, or excuse me, I keep referring to 2015s, but this generation, even when they first came out, they were pretty archaic, and they always have been. They never got them to be cutting edge with technology or the creature comforts, but they just, I don't know, Toyota was very purposeful with how they built this. 2015 was the first year of the 5th generation TRD Pro anyway. Sunroof, standard sunroof, no pano roof. Same goes for the landcruiser over there. The landcruiser does have a black suede-like material for the entire roof, or as you get tan. Pretty buttermilk basic over here in the 4Runner. But all of this, I do like this a lot. They updated this in 2020. They did a much needed update, but they didn't overdo it, right? They added push to start, which I think is huge. I love that. I prefer having that over the turnkey. There's something to be said about turnkey. It's pretty raw, but I love that they added that. They updated the infotainment. They updated the center stack resolution. That display here, much nicer in the 2020 and up 4Runner. We still have this super chintzy faux carbon fiber down here, which I think just looks silly. But whatever, right? That's not why we're buying this. Heated seats only, no cooled seats. This is for the rear hatch window. But this right here, stuff like this is going away in so many vehicles. That manual transfer case to put in the 4 high, 4 low, like this is awesome to me. I love this because this right here is far less likely to break comparatively to a little electric dial, right, that you retwist in most vehicles today. So absolutely love that Toyota has done that. Analog gauges over here, of course, for the most part. We got the center stack, but this right here feels perfect. Nothing more than what you need, truly. Show you out back. A little bit of a cutout space for your head space for your rear passengers. No third row, of course, in the 4Runner. Let me show you underneath the hood of each of these real quick. Power it off. Pop the hood. Big fan of the underground color. I prefer that between the two of them here. Blizzard Pearl looks very special underneath. Nice lighting and the sun's hitting it just right. A nice, beautiful metallic flake to it. But absolutely love underground here. I'll show you. Underneath the hood, we do have pop struts. But this is that 4-liter naturally aspirated V6. 278 horsepower. Actually, 270 horsepower and 278 foot-pounds of torque, if my memory serves me right. But a very raw, archaic vehicle or engine, but this powertrain tied to that bulletproof 5-speed automatic transmission is just bulletproof. Absolutely bulletproof. It has proven itself at this point to run forever with minimal maintenance and minimal headache. Let's peek underneath the hood of the landcruiser real quick. You do have a fuel door release on this one. One thing to note too, the fuel door is actually on the right-hand side, the passenger side of the landcruiser, where it is on the driver's side of the 4Runner. One difference there. Let me see if I can do it with one hand. All right. So this is the heart of the beast. This here is the dying breed. This is that 5.7 liter V8 that we've all come to know and love at this point. This right here has a ton of life left in it. I mean, both of them do, right? But this here truly has proven itself to be the 500,000 to 1 million mile motor if just taken care of, right? Absolutely love it. And just looking at the engine bay, it is noticeably wider compared to what we just looked at right there. So again, adding to that 1,000-pound difference between the two of them. Struts on it too, of course, as you'd imagine, as you'd expect, at a very different price point. This one here is sporting 381 horsepower and 401 foot-pounds of torque. Towing capacity on the 4Runner is 5,000 pounds. Towing capacity over here, 8,100 pounds. We got a buggy feature.
Hey!
Hey, dude. Say hey, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Crushed it. Nice hair, man.
Thanks.
What do you think? Which one do you like better? The white one or the gray one?
White.
The white one? Good pick. He's a wise kid right there. He's going places. Let me show you out back. I didn't show you the rear cargo space. Sorry, this video is not really planned well. It just kind of is me meowing. We do have the cover overlays for the 4Runner and the Toyota badge out back. Hopefully we got enough space. I think we do. We do. So this has proven to be the perfect soccer and hockey mobile. Plenty of space out back. But unfortunately, we don't get that third row. We don't get that extra space for our 5 kiddos. We might just get a May feature here in a second. Speakers out back. Get the cover. Stuff you guys have seen plenty, I'm sure. But in the new generation 4Runners, 6th generation 4Runners, that cargo space is hindered or limited tremendously because on the hybrid versions of it anyway, they actually take some of that rear cargo space to put the battery pack. Let me show you over here. Got the slowest rear hatch opening sequence on the 200 series. Hope you got a minute. And then we have the electric release for that tailgate. That right there is almost reason enough to buy a landcruiser over a 4Runner. I love the fact that it has a tailgate. I know it's silly, but that right there, I mean, if you're going to enjoy this with your family, having a tailgate, a place to sit and, you know, eat a sandwich, like, this is nice. Absolutely love it. I have fond memories with my family. You know, just sitting back here watching car shows drive by, blah, blah, blah. We love it. Obviously with the third row down, very simple system to pop these downward and then up to the side on both sides. But yeah, there you have it, guys. Yeah, buddy?
Don't have to take your morts.
Huh? We want to get morts?
No, that's okay.
Ooh, that sounds good. All right, we're going to go get breakfast, guys. I think that about wraps up the video. I think I meowed enough in this video. Hopefully some of you appreciate this content, the side-by-side content. I think a lot of people who appreciate the 5th generation 4Runner really appreciate the landcruiser. But let's face it, it's hard to justify current prices. Unless you're getting one with 80,000 miles on it now, you're spending an arm and a leg to get this. And for me personally, if I'm shooting you guys straight, this is absolutely not worth double the cost of this. Right? I mean, that's truly what it is. 120,000 easy if I sell it today, or 60,000 for a low mile example over here, or 50,000 plus. This right here is the safer bet in my opinion. Now, MSRP versus MSRP, I'd take this any day of the week, right? If you can buy this brand new right now for $91,000, absolutely go with the landcruiser. That makes a lot more sense. Didn't show you guys kind of that hood dipping down. This right here just feels more sturdy, whereas this, even just driving down the freeway, it kind of, you know, flims in the wind. So you get what you pay for to some degree, MSRP to MSRP. So let me know what your thoughts are. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into this content. If you appreciate this whatsoever, please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a ton and doesn't go unnoticed. Till next time.